Every Maine business adds value to our state. Diversity adds strength and beauty to our communities. We each have different journeys with a common goal: to prosper and contribute to a vibrant, thriving future in Maine, all to help strengthen the economy. Greenlight Maine and Bangor Savings Bank present Elevating Voices, a celebration of Maine's diverse business community.
Rose Barboza is the founder and executive director of Black-Owned Maine, referred to as BOM by its members. It's an organization she created to promote, network, and support Black and Brown businesses in Maine.
So let's start at the beginning. What made you, what was the burning desire to start Black-Owned Maine?
Yeah, I think it was May, June 2020, the world was in an uproar. I would say America or the United States, but really the whole world was out protesting after George Floyd was murdered and various other folks, police brutality, etc. And COVID was happening during that time. So I was trying to think, how can I support my local community doing something that I know how to do without exposing myself to COVID at the same time, and protests, this and that. I just wasn't really sure. As a single mom at the time, I wanted to make sure that I could do something that would keep myself safe as well. So really, during that time, I was also laid off from work. So I was just in a lot of thinking and meditation mode. And the idea just kind of came, literally. The idea just came on a Sunday. We launched on a Tuesday. Bam, from there. We started out with 68 businesses, which were really just off the top of my head, and I grew up in Lewiston, so there's a large, Black business community in Lewiston. And I think people were just online searching, literally on Google searching for Black-owned businesses, not finding anything, and then bam, Black-Owned Maine pops up, and people were like, wait, has this been here the whole time, when we didn't find it? So now, 3 years later, we have 450 businesses that are listed. So it's grown, 100 times, I guess. Well, not 100 times, but it's doubled a lot of times.
I have read, and in fact, it was an article that you were part of, that in other places, this has always existed. Maybe not to the extent of what you're doing, but directories of Black-owned businesses. What happened here? Was it just not thought of until you thought of it?
Yeah, good question. I think other folks probably were thinking of it in the past, but I never actually saw it coming together. I think in other states, where there's a larger Black population, it just kind of makes sense, why would we not do this thing? But in Maine, whenever you go to the national directories, Maine is really never on the list. Or there's a couple businesses, and I can imagine why. They're like, Maine, we'll come back, to that later. So I think that this directory, being again that it has now 450 businesses with more than 100 that we still are adding, with 100 pending, it's really opening people's eyes about what Maine really is and who is a part of the narrative around Maine and how we kind of change, that discussion around who exists in Maine and who, is kind of left out of that conversation.
Through their efforts to support Maine entrepreneurs who are growing our economy, Greenlight Maine is making our state a better place to start and operate a business. For these efforts and the creation of a robust entrepreneurial ecosystem, the Harold Alfond Institute for Business Innovation at Thomas College is proud to be a sponsor of Greenlight Maine.
Black-Owned Maine has helped strengthen so many businesses.
The way I met Rose was when we just started before we became a nonprofit, we were just a mobile market where we tried to remove barrier of transportation and language, and just were reaching the lowest of the lowest, the people who only receive the city vouchers. And Black on Maine was the first organization that gave us a grant. It was unheard of from us. We didn't even know that they existed or there was somebody who was doing that type of work. And one day just Rose called me and was like, hey, I heard about the work that you do. I have I think it was like 1,000 something grant for you. Would you like to take that money? I'm like, yeah.
Genius Black, creator of a podcast called Maine's Black Future, is an early member of Black-owned Maine and has a great partnership with Rose to move Maine forward.
I knew Rose from just life as a friend, and had conversations about different things in society, some of the issues that we saw playing out in front of us. People being unhoused, racial tensions, all types of things. Even creative things. And then, in the summer of 2020, like many people in the world, we were both kind of separately, as well as when we talked, aghast at the murder of George Floyd. And I think it was really a galvanizing moment for the United States, but really for the world. And I think in that energy, when a lot of people were both willing to do more than they had in the past because of something that was made so plain and blatant to them, that coupled up with the fact that, Rose's vision of having a directory specifically for all the Black-owned businesses in the state of Maine, it paired up timing-wise very well.
So it's great to have more businesses, but this goes even beyond that, of adding to the culture of Maine.
Yeah, absolutely. We have folks here, the Somali Bantu community that are farming. They're growing cultural food, that wasn't being grown before up in Wales. We have Mariama's Beauty Supply over on Forest Ave, and she has a whole shop, where you can buy hair and accessories, and you can also get your hair done. So again, just part of the cultural relevancy of all of this.
I would imagine there's white people watching this show that are thinking, how can I contribute to all of this that you're talking about? And you speak a lot about this when you go to conferences. What do you tell people?
I tell people to just do your due diligence, be intentional. If this is a community that you support, if you understand any of the history, of oppression or history of greatness as well, because we don't always just want to talk about the bad, how do we mix it with the good as well? If you understand any of that, frequent the businesses, go to the directory, look down the list, do a survey of your own town. You might see that there are Black businesses around that you never even knew were there, that you didn't even know existed. And don't be afraid to walk into shops that you feel are cultural, or maybe there's a language barrier or this and that. It's just go, introduce yourself, talk, see what it's about, and really get to know your neighbors that are really living right next to you. Maine is unique in that, again, the population is small, so to really integrate communities is not, I think, as hard as one may think. Yeah,
so your platform actually tells people even where they can get their groceries.
Exactly. Yeah, we have a market over in Morris Corner in Portland. It's called Food for All Services. They're actually the first nonprofit grocery store in Maine. I don't know about the rest of the country, but I know in Maine. So it's run by Khadija Ahmed and her husband, Charles Williams. And Khadija is Congolese, her husband is Nigerian. They sell a lot of, Congolese products, Angolan, West African. Folks are able to go there and not feel awkward, go be able to talk the language, they speak, a million different languages. They're able to go there, feel comfortable, find what they need, whether it be fufu or plantain or, anything really. My husband being an example of one of those people, he's Nigerian, and he's able to go there and he tells me, Rose, I know like you have a very good relationship with them at the store, but sometimes I can't go because it's like Christmas. I just want to buy everything and really, you know, feel connected to my culture in a place so far away from where you would think, you know, there would be groups of Africans or West Africans. So it's really a very unique, amazing place.
What is your vision for Black-owned Maine?
Wow, I have so many visions. I'm too many. I'm really a visionary person, and I'm glad we have our board of director. Her name is Goddess Jackson, and I'm very thankful for her because she can help me to kind of put boxes around my thoughts. But for Black-owned Maine, my vision really, I really want it to be transformational. I want, you know, when folks are thinking of changing policies in Maine, you know, I want Black-owned Maine to be a stakeholder. I want them to call and say, hey, what are folks thinking? What do folks need? I want it to continue to grow as a marketing platform and like as a visibility platform. We also would love, you know, in the past we've been able to provide financial support to businesses that are starting out. So I would love for that to take off more, you know, and to really say, okay, when a Black business owner decides to open up an entrepreneur, BOM is like the go-to place. And, you know, we have the staff and we have the capacity and the money to make that a reality.
Hey, Maine. How are you? Yes, you. How are you really? It's a question we rarely ask ourselves. But to Northern Light Health, how you are means a lot. So ask away. Then connect with us at northernlighthealth.org/howareyu.
Maine Technology Institute, offering grants, loans, and equity investments to help support Maine's innovation economy and committed to supporting new ideas with potential to grow. Visit mainetechnology.org.
Albin, Randall, and Bennett, committed to providing accounting solutions to Greenlight Maine startups, working with businesses and organizations that operate locally and nationally. arbcpa.com.
In the heart of downtown Biddeford, there's a small store with a big following. It's called Woven, and the co-owner and designer, known in the United States as Albert, sews his own creations. Albert moved to Maine in 2019, a long way from where he grew up in Saigon, now known as Ho Chi Minh City.
Let's go back to your childhood in Vietnam. How did you get into sewing and designing?
From the beginning, when I was little, maybe 10 or something like that, I know how to fix our clothes a little bit. But then when I grew up around 20 something, my mom told me that to learn how to sew my own clothes so I don't have to go to the tailor. And listen to her, I just make her happy so I can, you know, I start to learn my sewing lesson and things like that. And I design my own clothes at the time just for myself. And I'm so happy that I can make my own clothes. And the time that I have to find good material around the early mid-80s, it's very hard to find good material, and I love cotton and linens and things like that. So I have to spend a lot of time to the market to find remnant fabric left over so I can have my own thing, my own look. But then my friends and other asking me to make clothes for them, I have to using my pieces to make for them, and I have to go back to the market to replace my pieces. So keep going like that, and I expand my sewing area a little bit bigger, just another sewing machine, another help, and go from there slowly from 1984 to early mid 1990s. And when I met Ron, he asked me if I want to join to do wholesale. So I, using my talent, as I said, and create a look for home decors like pillows and stuff like that. And during the year from early 2000 to late 2000, that we do a lot of wholesale with my design and stuff like that.
Albert comes at this from the design side, the materials, the techniques, and that's his passion. And my background is in economic development through USAID in Asia. And so when we paired up, my focus was actually hand-woven silks in Cambodia, from Cambodia. I'd been living in Cambodia. And I had him making pillows and quilts and things with the Cambodian silks in the late 90s, and then we started wholesale and quickly ran out of capacity on the production side. So then we started using Vietnamese silks, machine woven silks, but all hand stitched and hand quilted at his workshop in Vietnam. And then we kept our focus though on hand wovens and handmade materials. I see traditional crafts as the easiest path to economic development for a lot of villages where there's no Nike factory to go work in, which is a nasty existence anyway. And passing down traditional skills from the elderly to the new generation was really key to what I wanted to do. And it's happening because the young people see economic viability in the traditional crafts. So they want to learn it, and they can make money, more than they can make in a smelly factory 100 miles from home. They're living in a dorm and working 7 days a week, 12 hours a day. So home-focused, traditional craft-focused, with real economic development potential with it. Yeah.
Both Ron and Albert have built their business around supporting local, which means really twofold for shoppers here, supporting the Biddeford economy and women makers from around the world.
So Woven is a fair trade store, with our roots at the village level, and here you'll see lots of different crafts from Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, and now India. We're in our new India room, working with a group in New Delhi. And you'll find home goods, rugs, bedspreads, throws, pillows, handbags, ceramics, handmade paper. One of my favorite projects is with a Lao disabled women's group in Vientiane, Laos. They train disabled women, most of whom had polio, to learn a craft they can do from home and earn some money. We also do a lot with natural dye groups in different villages. I think Maine also has a lot of interest in natural dyes. There's the Fiber College up in Searsport, the Natural Dye Garden, Maine Makers Guild, and I think we're going to work a lot closer with a lot of them also on the tour side of the business, which we've just started.
Are there certain fabrics that Vietnam is known for?
In Vietnam, actually, we don't have much of good fabrics, but the fabric we focus right now is mostly the handmade fabric from Laos, because we go deep into handmade, because we work with a lot of villages around Vietnam and Laos. But the Laos, they have their own cotton. They grow cotton, hand spun, hand woven. So I'm using the fabric to design into home decors and clothing as well. And part of that, I also using repurpose from the ethnic people. The own pieces I join together, mix them up, and I do only one of a kind pieces. If it's so, I create something else new.
So tell us about some of the things that people say when they come into your store.
When they come to the store, mostly people around the area here that in the past they have related with the like the cotton and sewing and craft and everything around the area. So when they come in, it's kind of like, wow, like they haven't seen this before. They haven't done anything like this, or mostly the tourist people from other states. When they in town and they're browsing, and they said they really good look. They wish that this store would be located in New York or elsewhere, and the price is good too for them. So
Albert has quickly become a big part of the Biddeford business community. His exceptional talent and endearing personality is the perfect combination for success. He even convinced our executive producer, Nat Thompson, to be a model in the Rotary Club fundraiser. Nat's first time on the runway.
I first met Ron and Albert probably about 5 years ago when they came into the chamber and said that they wanted to open a new business in Biddeford, but just didn't know where to locate, and were on a fairly tight budget. And at the time, it was interesting. We actually had extra space at the chamber, so it's a cliche, but it was a win-win in that Ron and Albert decided to start their store right next to us, adjacent to us as neighbors. So for a year, they were proving out their concept of woven hand in hand here with the chamber. We did a big ribbon cutting and everybody was excited to see them come to town. Still at that point, it was an emerging specialty retail scene in Biddeford. So once they opened the doors, people saw the quality of the products and got to meet Ron and Albert and really embraced them. And the rest, I think, is woven history. They had so much success that they eventually moved up to a larger space in downtown Main Street.
I know Albert because when they first set up the shop, somebody told me that it looked like my kind of place. And they were down on Lower Main Street at the time. And I went in and yeah, definitely my kind of place. The merchandise is beautiful, the people are beautiful. And Albert is just so talented. I've watched him enlarge the number of things that he makes, and he's a very talented artisan.
They have been such a great addition to this street, to the offerings of shops. They work with all kinds of different indigenous artists in Laos, Cambodia, Vietnam. Albert, I from what I hear, was a pretty famous tailor and back when he lived abroad. And he has brought his talents and his beautiful wares to offer to everybody here, and it's been really nice having them as my neighbors.
Small town in Biddeford, but mostly people are very friendly and supportive. Yeah. And I have met so many customers that I do a lot of custom stuff, design, home decors for people living around here, and seem like really fit into the area. And because of my design and my product is completely different than the rest, so I'm glad that I've been here. Yeah.
First Park, a 285-acre business park located in Oakland, Maine, offering fiber internet, 3-phase power, and pre-permitted sites for businesses to start or expand. Details at firstpark.com.
Fame came along at a time when we really needed somebody to believe in our mission.
It's so nice to have somebody actually try to understand what we're doing.
Fame helps Maine businesses and lenders get to yes for their financing needs.
Thank you, Fame.
Thank you, Fame.
Thank you, Fame.
Bangor Savings Bank, committed to investing in its employees, customers, and communities to help create a stronger Northern New England. Bangor Savings Bank. You matter more.